Okay, hi, it's Dave from Finelli's Customs here. Today I'm going to go over, again, how I mount my tabletops to my framing on my furniture. So this is an important concept. I think a lot of woodworkers most follow this principle, but I want to go over in detail, step by step, and in depth how I mount my tops and why I do this. So the first thing you're going to need, obviously, is you're going to need some speed squares or combination squares, whatever you want to call them. And these are good for, you're going to be able to space out your tops with your frames. Make sure you have even spacing, even though you haven't measured out ahead of time, but everything's milled up and everything and joined. Your joinery is done. Sometimes it can be off a little bit, so you want to have one of these squares available, at least one. Or you can use a regular square, make sure everything stays nice and square. The other thing you're going to need is these. In my opinion, I like to use these. They're called Z-clips. These are perfect. You can get these very cheap. You get them on Amazon, Woodcraft, Rockler, other places. I like these because these fit into a groove on your tabletop frame on the inside, and it will slide over time. And I'll show you in more detail how that works. But these are good. You can also get the figure 8 ones where you need a drill bit and you can drill into your top of your frame. I use these personally, and these you put in. I like to use it whether it be a table saw, biscuit joiner. You can use a domino or a router. I typically like to use the biscuit joiner, and I'll show you how I do that and why and how and where you set. You set from about a 1/4 inch from the top, and you put your slots in, and then that way these can hang. And they'll screw into your tabletop, and we'll show you more detail. So next thing you're gonna need is I like to use a soft center drill bit on my drill. You don't always need this for pine and poplar, but for this I'm going to use this as my example. These are good to have, especially for hardwoods, because you can split your wood and sometimes it doesn't catch right, or it just kind of almost strips out your screw. So you gotta be careful with that. Then another thing you'll need is an impact driver. I like to use a 12-volt one. These are perfect because you could kind of control your impact a little better than you can for an 18-volt, and that's just my opinion. And then I like to use a regular Phillips head just to finish off my tightening, so that way I don't over tighten everything, because you want to have a little bit of movement. So almost like your top could move a little bit if you need to, because that will let the wood move over time. And this is why you do this, because your top, this example here, you have 3 pieces of poplar. They're laminated together. It looks like one piece, but they're 3 pieces, 1, 2, and 3. So over time, your wood's going to try to separate this way. It's going to try to separate, long ways against the grain. Most people think it goes this way, up and down with the grain, but it doesn't. It's going to try to pull apart your glue joint. That's why you want to do this. So your Z-clips will slide over time with the wood movement. So they'll slide in the slot. They slide back and forth. So we'll go in detail in depth how I set these up, and I'll show you how I do this. Good side down. Not good side up, or not as good side. Take the frame, lay it on top. So now that I have my tops frame is level where I need it to be. Now we're going to put our Z-clips in our slots here that we mentioned earlier. We also have them here too. We don't need them here because the wood doesn't move, but I put them here just in case. Now I'm just going to run a self-centered drill bit here. Don't necessarily need this. We're going to use this though. Just going to do all four. Now we're going to take our 3/4 inch screws here and a low impact driver, and we'll throw one in. I'm not going to over tighten it though, I'm just going to start it. On each corner here, or each hole we pre-drilled. Okay, now we can just hand tighten them in now. And you can see it starts to tighten into your slot here. Don't want to over tighten them though. If you notice here too, the Z-clips kind of slant up a little bit. It gives more room for it to move. That's how you kind of want it. Okay, so these are in. That's pretty much about it. So once you have your grooves cut, now these Z-clips can slide back and forth with the grooves over time. And I just use a biscuit joiner for this. You can also use a table saw and just do it like a drop cut and just cut all the way to the end. Or just cut all the way to the end either way, because it's going to kind of be hidden anyway since the legs, but I like to do a drop cut if I'm using a table saw. You can also use a domino joiner or a router bit with a slot cutting bit on it. But I like to just use the biscuit joiner. It's probably the cheapest option and probably the safest and easiest option. Alright, so that's really about it. This I'm going to put a little more in. This is a bigger table. I want to make sure we have enough to hold the top, especially in transit. I have to deliver this. So we're going to put on all four sides on this table. This I'm going to put a little more in. This is a bigger table. I want to make sure we have enough to hold the top, especially in transit. I have to deliver this. So we're going to put on all four sides on this table. center drill bit. Take our screw. Use our little 12-volt impact, which I like to use. I'm not going to fully tighten it. I like to hand tighten. And that's it. And these like the groove slide with seasonal wood movement. So hopefully this video helped you learn how to mount your tabletops if you haven't already known how to do it. I'm sure most woodworkers know this already. This is not, rocket science, but this definitely helps me keep from, getting calls from customers saying, hey, my top split open over, a year or two. I've never had that call yet, thank God. Even though when I first started building furniture years ago, I would sometimes just drill into your frame. Now you can do that. If you do that, though, make sure you use a countersink and really hollow out, kind of like when you drill in, trying to drill this way, like hollow out a bigger hole and then only go into long grain. But I wouldn't recommend that. Like I said, there's other ways you could do this, but this is the best way for me, and it seems to work. And these tops, it takes about 5 to 10 minutes to mount your tops, as long as you have everything set up ahead of time. The biscuit joiner's key, or table saw, or like I said, domino joiner, or even a router bit with a slot cutting bit on it. But I personally like to use a biscuit joiner. You get one of these for 50 to 100 bucks. Nothing fancy, and these just work. And you set your slot right here to about 1/4 inch, and this just rests on your frame piece. You can just kind of drill right in, kind of push right into it. So that's all you really need to do. And obviously it's in the video how I use this, but just to give you a little more detail. So that's about it. So these work. This little overview inside this tabletop, you can probably see the Z-clips. And there's 8 on this one because it's a bigger table. And like I said, these will move side to side over time, but would move it if need be. All right, that's about it. Hopefully that helps. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks for watching.